still in an absorptive phase of the alcohol stroke absorption elimination curve, therefore was within 20 minutes to half an hour of his last alcohol consumption. Injuries to the chest are probably related to efforts at resuscitation. Now, it wasn't just the person that found him, it was also the paramedics in the ambulance that also tried to resuscitate him afterwards.
It was the fire brigade and the ambulance as well that resuscitated him, or CPR.
Yeah.
And just to put this into context now, right up until Anne met Robert, she believed her brother had committed suicide.
Totally. Yes.
It was fabricated into a murder scenario after the event.
After Robert Green showed up.
Yeah.
Now what Robert Green claimed is that the brother had absolutely no reason at all to kill himself, and he had no financial problems whatsoever, and this turned out not to be true, because he was suspended from his job at the time as a manager of a pub for financial irregularities and stock being missing. And we also discovered, I think this is correct, isn't it, Wynne, that they actually co-owned Anne, her husband, and Anne's brother co-owned the house that they all lived in, although for some reason Anne tries to make out that he lived somewhere else occasionally. But anyway, after his death, it was discovered that Anne's brother had actually never ever paid any of his part of the mortgage.
That's right, sure, that's right. So that would have been a considerable amount of money. Yes, because the amount that Dennis was putting in every month covered it. So there was never a reason to check up on it.
So if you say that this guy had no reason to kill himself, you know, then you have to wonder why they lied about this. He did have financial problems.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. All right, ladies. This has been a very, very interesting discussion, and there are so many questions that I want to ask that I'm still trying to collect my thoughts here. I think before I do that, can I just ask, is there any statements that any of you would like to make at this point before we run out of time?
Oh, how much time do we have left?
Yes, I think we have 24 minutes.
Right, a lot to cram in 24 minutes. I think I would say on behalf of everybody here, please, people, consider what we are saying. You have not been told the truth. You've been told anything but the truth. You have been told a version which has omitted a lot of information, and we've recently been given this information from an anonymous source who I don't know, I can only presume they've grown a conscience. But we would love it to go to court, we really would, because it might put an end to the horrendous, how can you even put it into words, what these allegations have done to innocent people's lives.
Yeah.
Now, and I mean, and I know that Sylvia and Wynne are going to back me up here. Sylvia and Wynne don't hate Anne. They really, really don't. I mean, we've gotten to know them so well recently. What Sylvia and Wynne want is for Anne to get help, and for those people who are surrounding her to stop what they're doing. Just stop. Think about what you are doing to innocent people. They don't want Hollie taken away from her. Hollie is probably best with Anne, but Hollie needs to be taken into consideration here, and the problem is that everyone seems to be forgetting Hollie in all of this, and we know, and I might be a bit out of line for saying this, but we know that Hollie recently has been self-abusing herself, and this is really, really sad. We know she's so lonely, she's got no friends, she's been taken away from everybody that ever loved her, she's been programmed literally to lie.
Yes.
And it is so sad, and Anne needs help. Anne needs to accept she's mentally ill. She knows she's been lying. We can prove she's been lying. So a lot of it we can't actually say what we now know from this information we were given recently. But we can say, and I will say this, I will bring in another piece of information, is that we've actually been provided with the interviews that Hollie gave to the police and that was conducted in Shropshire. And we know, like I said, you don't have to believe anything that we say about the autopsy, but we do challenge Anne and Robert, as they have talked about this autopsy continuously, to actually publish it and show people who's actually telling the truth here. But the one document that we were given, we do know is genuine because we have checked this with the police, is Hollie's interview with Shropshire and the appropriate adults and the policewoman. And Hollie seems to reel off a laundry list of people who seem to be pretty much everybody that she ever knows. And again, this is what we mentioned earlier, Wynn's son John, one of her abusers called John. It's really we are not going to go into the contents of this document at all, but I'm going to say this: Anne has lied to you, because Hollie in this interview actually named pretty much every single person she ever knew and made some names up as well. And of the omitted names, the ones that actually do exist in real life happened to have been friends and relatives of Anne. Now think about this, people. Hollie named other people, but they never appeared on that list of 22 people that was named publicly. Why? Because those people were friends of Dennis's, or sided with Dennis in Wynn's case. Wynn was actually Anne's friend until she helped Dennis get her to the hospital because they had doubts and concerns about her mental state. So Anne turned on Wynn. Now, you have to... Hollie named these people. Why are they not on this public list?
Yeah.
Because some of them were relatives of Anne that she was still seeing.
But Hollie named them, so surely they should be on the list.
Oh, she made some boobs, didn't she?
Well, she made a lot of... If you could read
Yes.
this, you know, we're not going to tell you what it contains other than this, because your son does not exist, Wynn, called John.
No.
You don't have a son called John, but Hollie named him.
Don't.
So we will mention that, because nobody is going to get into trouble, because there is nobody called John.
So how do you bring them to court?
Yeah, how
Can
do
you not
bring...
see how the police looked at this and, you know, people that don't exist, the wrong names?
We can also see how the police started to doubt Hollie's story, because I will say this: when they questioned her about what had happened, she said the same three things for every single person, but when she was pressed for details, she couldn't give any.
Oh, and we need to point out as well that this is the interview that Robert insists he sat outside and listened to. And if he did, then
He's lied
some of
to
the
you also.
I've seen some of the interviews that he's given whereby he's described what he heard sitting outside the door, and it doesn't correspond with this whatsoever.
No.
And we know that this one document is genuine because we confirmed the names that were never made public with the police, and they said yes, those names were on this document. So we know this document is genuine.
Yes, and well, I would like to add to that as well that it goes deep.